Well With Barrie. If you have been following the series, you know it is about inspirational people doing great things and people that will inspire us to be better people. This week we have two great ladies, one who has a production due out in a couple of weeks and one whose production is in the process. Miss Joanne Alexander. Lovely to have you. Look at that smile. And Rhoda Wilson.
Nice to be here.
Lovely to have you both. How have you been?
Great.
Busy.
Yeah, it's been busy.
It's been quite difficult to nail these two ladies down. You've just come back from travels to Nigeria.
Yes.
Which we will get to later on.
Thank you.
And you are from Nigeria.
I am from Nigeria.
I mean, it's quite that 6 degrees of separation because it seems that you've just come back, you're from there, and we know a host of people that are mutual friends.
That's true. That is really true. And I tell you, Joanna, when she was telling me, in the green room, that she just came back from Nigeria, I was like, my God, I'm so jealous. I miss Nigeria so much. It's been a while. I haven't been there, so.
And I fell in love with Nigeria.
Yes, it's an experience.
I want it to be my second home, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
You loved it that much?
I loved it that much.
You'd like to spend half the year there and half the year...
Amazing. Yeah, just the culture, the stories, learning about where we originate.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of us do.
Yeah, and I just
have that in us. Yeah.
And to be able to have that opportunity would just be fabulous.
Right.
So a lot of my filming would be directed.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Essex.
Oh, you're an Essex girl.
I'm an Essex girl, babe. Yeah.
Now, I know you're a baby sister of legendary Pansy Alexander,
Absolutely.
who had the first body maintenance, we call it.
Body
it used
garage.
to be called Body Garage in, was it Stratford?
In Stratford, yeah.
And it was literally a building that was 5 floors, 4 or 5 floors, it was just dedicated to beauty.
Whoa.
So it was hairdressing, beauty treatments, massage, fitness, because I remember going down there and doing everything. I mean, she was a pioneer, definitely. And almost seems that she was the template for the beauty industry that's going on now, because she specializes in nails.
Yeah.
And everything now is nails, get my nails done.
Yeah.
But she had this building on 5 floors, 4 or 5 floors, that was just phenomenal.
It was amazing times, wasn't it?
Great times.
And I know she set this kind of, as she said, she was a real pioneer of the beauty industry. Nobody had thought of this whole sort of like concept of the body garage, where you went and you maintained your body from
it literally is in the title, Body Garage, which I think is fantastic. Body Garage. Yeah. It speaks for itself.
It was very 80s, but it was just amazing. It was an amazing time. I remember the shop was buzzing. It was just phenomenal. She was the first person to write a book on nails.
Yeah.
Really?
She appeared on TV shows talking about nails. I mean,
and this is back, it's 25 years ago. So she was really a pioneer in the field.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Essex from a big family?
Big family.
How many siblings?
There was 6 of us, but only 4 of us live in England. The rest of the other 2 lived in America.
Right. How was school for you?
School for me was, I
have a feeling she was kind of the naughty girl.
No.
I feel that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, being the last of the 16-year gap between me and Pansy.
Right.
So being the last child, I was, so they called me spoiled, but I didn't say I was spoiled. I used to say I was loved. And basically, I went to a private school. I went to a prep school, and my nieces and nephews were around the same age group as me, because there was this massive gap. So I came quite late.
Yeah.
My family,
You were the shock.
It's like I was, apparently I was the shock. The shock or the milkman, or something like that. But so I grew up with, going to a prep school, private school, and my nieces and nephews used to tease me. Anybody want tennis? And because I used to play tennis, and I was quite privileged, I must admit, growing up. My father ran a housing association through the Windrush times, stuff like that, and he was a philanthropist can never just about say that word.
Yeah.
But so I was quite privileged, you know, in terms of how I grew up, you know. And then I bugged my parents to go to the local Roman Catholic Comprehensive.
And that's when it all went downhill.
After failing my 11 plus miserably, and well, not actually miserably, intentionally, so that I wouldn't have to continue at an all-girls school, you know.
Oh,
so,
right, okay. See, I was right. I have that kind of perception. I can always tell, you know. What about you, Rhoda?
Yes. What about me?
School, growing up, siblings, let's hear the story.
Oh my goodness, gee. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria.
Right.
I came from a family of 19. My dad married 3 wives, you know, so, because, you know, in those days, you know.
Can I just interrupt this lady here? I need to take a drink. I think I heard her say she came from one of 19. I wasn't sure. Hold on. Okay, let's take that again. So you're one of how many?
19.
Okay, I did hear correctly.
That is because, you know, in those days, in Nigeria, growing up in Nigeria, one of the things is that when you have more wives, it demonstrates you're wealthy.
Okay.
And the more wives you have and the more children you have, it's considered to be blessings as well. And, you know, my dad, I think, saw us as his pension. Because when he, you know, the more children he had, the more he felt that as he grew older, he would be able to
look after
exactly. So for that reason, I think, I mean, that's one of the reasons I always tell people that is why he has so many kids. But he had 3 wives as well, 3 wives. So my mom had 6 for him. The other woman had 6, and then the other lady as well had 6. But my mom had a child before she met my dad.
Right.
So there are 19 of us in total. So.
And it's interesting because culturally the outlook is different. The perception of all those children and a big family is different from in the Western world. All those children, it's kind of, well, not frowned upon, but it's unusual.
That's true, yeah.
You know, whereas over there it's seen as wealth and prosperity and.
Yeah, in my time, in my dad's time, I think it was seen as wealth and prosperity. It's still seen as that as well in some quarters. But over the years, some of the second generation my generation and going forward, they stop having 2, 3 wives because they find that they've seen the way their mom suffered. You know, having been a second wife to their dad and having to share the man, and there was fighting in the community. But I must say, we were lucky, you know, because my mom was the favorite of my dad. So all the kids came to my mom. So my mom stayed with my dad until she passed away when I was 11. And but it was actually a good home. We had like 18. We had 3 floors. We had 18 rooms in our house. We had a very good life. My dad was a comfortable man.
Right.
So we did well in terms of like. We didn't have that much fighting, and all my siblings were my friends. But as we grow older, obviously,
things change.
Things change.
Their own personalities and
things like that. Exactly, and then you move on. But I must admit, growing up, it was a good life for me. It was one of the best times of my life. You know, we had bicycle. We ride around the compound. My siblings were my friends because there were so many of us.
Yeah, you didn't need anybody else.
You don't need anybody else. And I remember one of my elder sisters, when she was being beaten at school, in those days, you know, back in Nigeria, we all went up and meet up with the people and told them because there were so many of us, you know. And I remember my dad showing us how to fight. And my dad, and one of the things I always said, I always give my success to is my dad. My dad believed in women. And people say, well, that he married 3 wives. Of course he has to believe in women. But my dad believes in women. And I used to remember, he always said, look, Rhoda, women time are going to come. You know, you always have to focus on your career. You have to focus on yourself. You have to do very well in life as a woman.
Now, that's a beautiful thing because in a lot of cultures, the fathers really focus on the boys. They always want the boys and everything's invested in the boys.
Yes.
So that's quite a rarity to hear the dad invest in that confidence in the girls.
Well, my dad invested a lot of confidence in all the girls. I would probably say, I hope my sibling won't take offense to it, but I think they will still agree to today, is that the girls fared better than the boys. We did well because my dad always, I mean, he instilled the confidence in all the children. But I think, despite the fact that parents always say we don't have favoritism, we don't have that, I think the girls kind of had a slight edge over the boys.
I think the same in my family. I mean, my dad was very much about instilling and empowering us as young black females in this country to always be better than the white individual that was sat next to you, because we had more of a struggle, in terms of
well, that's always
pushing ourselves out there and
twice as good. It's always that ideology. You have to be twice as good to achieve the same thing.
But can I just say something which is very strange? Do you know I never experienced being a woman as a challenge or being black as a challenge, obviously because I was in Nigeria, and I'm always a tomboy, so I used to make sure that I do better than the boys. But it's only when I got here that I think I was quite surprised, the divide. Really? How being a black woman or being a black person, it's not as seen as the way, because my dad always said being a woman is great. Already I knew being a woman is fantastic. You have to do as well as you can be in your field, your chosen field. But it's only when I got here and I realized, oh my God, okay, if you're a woman and you're black, you don't get the same thing. I mean, my full name, I've got like a lot of names, being born in Nigeria. But when I came here, but when I came here, I had to shorten my name to Rhoda Wilson. So in my passport, my full name is Rhoda Ogenovo Efenare Wilson Ejenobo, because that is all my names,
All I can say is thank goodness you shortened it, because we'd still be introducing that name now.
No, but anyway, so that's my dad, saying now the difference is.
Now I can tell you were a good girl at school.
Go away.
You were a good girl. Yes, go away. You were a good girl at school.
I was a good girl.
I was a good girl at school. I did get all my GCSEs. I didn't actually do GCSEs. I did O-levels.
O-levels, that's right.
O-levels, wow.
But that was about it.
So when did you come to London?
I came here when I was 16, 17.
Right. Okay.
And I went to boarding school because my dad sent me to boarding school. And that was up in Guildford, Humbury, St. Mary. So I was there for some time. Then after that, I did my university degrees and then my master's.
Right. What did you study?
Well, boring subject really. I did business studies and then I did masters in financial management.
Well, it's very important.
It's
very important.
Yes, I did that. But.
And how did you get into your first job? What was your first job?
I was a student. I must say, many years ago. I used to, my first job, if I remember, was at Marks and Spencer.
We have to start.
Marks and Spencer, my first job. I remember many years ago. So Marks and Spencer, my first job as a student.
Right.
So I was doing I can't remember.
So you were working your way through studying.
I was working. You do that. And but sadly, my dad, when I was at boarding school, that's when my dad married his second wife, and in between, not married, but officiates the marriage. So things kind of went a bit belly up. And so it was good. Don't ask me how old I am now, but
so he was still in Nigeria.
He was still in Nigeria.
Boarding school.
Yeah, with my sister was here as well.
Were you at school together?
No, she was here on her own capacity.
Right. Because it must be quite difficult to have lost your mom at that age, at 11. Because it's difficult even when you're older and more independent, but to lose her at 11, that must have been quite a challenging time.
It was really tough because I was a mommy's girl.
Right.
I was a tomboy, but also a mommy's girl. And
you were just all round spoiled.
I was spoiled.
You were a mommy's girl.
So it was actually tough. Some people actually asked me the question, how do you feel to have lost your mom that age? I said, well, I can certainly say that it made me stronger. It meant I had to be independent, and you just got to get on with things, really, But I do miss her sometimes because I remember if I had any issues, I can go to my mom and she can say okay, or she can tell my elder sisters off or my brothers off because they've been mean to me. Yeah. So I miss my mom from that angle. Yeah. But you lose that, you just got to get on with it and just be as strong as you can be,
Yeah.
But I think when I went to boarding school here was an eye-opener for me. And I remember crying many times, calling home, saying to my dad, I don't like it here. The people are horrible. They're this, they're that, and that. He goes, no, you're staying there. I tell you, I am paying a lot of money. You're staying there. You have to do your education. So I had to do
it. And I know he did it in that accent, but I love it. Don't you just love it?
No, so that's
And you, madam, what was your first job?
My first job was working in Ravel.
Oh, Ravel! Remember Ravel?
I love shoes.
Yeah.
And my mum was like, "You like shoes?" I said, "Yes, I like shoes." So I went and I got myself a job in Ravel. So yeah, I was always quite fashion conscious and I always liked nice shoes. So yeah, my first Saturday job it was working in Ravel, yeah.
Now, bringing us to where you are now with the project that you did, because you're studying media, is it film?
No, I actually graduated last year. This year actually, in graphic design.
Graphic design,
yeah.
okay.
I got a first class on it, but because I did everything a little bit backwards. You know, you went to uni first, and I did it all the other way around. So I had my son at 24, 25, 26 actually. Sorry, 26. Had my son, brought him up. He's now 25. He's left home, and then I was just like, huh, what do I do with myself?
Well, I mean, a lot of people do go back as mature students, and I think it's a different kind of commitment when you're a mature student. Whereas a lot of people that go straight from school, they're there because their parents want them to be there, not because they're really committed to be there. Yeah, so it's a difference.
Absolutely. So I suppose my backstory would be that how I got to where I am now was that I lost my partner in 2014.
Right.
And I had to literally just change my life. And I decided to go back to school and study. Be the creative that I'd lost, you know. I'd worked for like 25 years in Redbridge Local Authority as a business support manager for many years. But it wasn't really where my heart was.
Yeah.
And I felt that I needed to, before I ran out of time, let me go and do something that I love.
That's the thing, because things like that, events like that, make you realise time can run out this afternoon.
Well, seriously.
Run out this evening, do you know what I mean? So you don't really have time to waste not living the life that you want to live.
Absolutely. And then the year that I did decide to go back to school, I lost my nephew, as you know.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things where I just really got focused and I loved learning. I didn't realise I'd love it that much, but I really loved it.
And having been out of learning for that long, the problem most people have is reattuning their brain to start absorbing information again, because it is something that you gain with practice. And when you're out of it, you kind of lose that skill. As they say, you don't use it, you lose it.
And then also, Barry, finding out about what you really like to do.
Yeah.
So it took me on this journey. I realised I couldn't draw for toffee, right? I can't draw. I could draw, but I can't really draw. You know, illustration ain't really my thing, you know what I mean? And then I picked up a camera one day and I started shooting. And that's when it all began. That's when it all started clicking. And then I picked up a recording camera and I started filming. That was it. And then I started piecing stories together and that was it. And then the next thing I knew, I was in Nigeria filming for my final.
Brilliant.
This film that has taken a life of its own.
We're going to get to that.
I know you will.
Now, with you said you studied finance, but that's not where you are now.
No.
We've actually got a very, very similar journey because as a business support manager, that's what I do.
Exactly.
So how did you get from there to there? What was your journey? How did you end up being in this place and thinking, I want to do this? She'll tell you what it is.
I guess I actually, I've been here for years, and one of the things I learned growing up was there wasn't a role model in the UK. I didn't see many role models, black role models, when I came to this country. And when I finished my master's, I decided, okay, we need more black role models. And only Oprah Winfrey at the time was a black role model. So I decided for my sin, Barry, for my blessings, people I should say for my sins, for my blessings, I decided to do a TV show called The Rhoda Wilson Show. So I did that for a while. When I did that for a while, I then went into studying media because I wanted to use media to demonstrate and also to show positive black images.
Wonderful.
This was a few years back. But during that time, I had a transitional situation in my life whereby I had to change the way I live and the way things are and so on. So I lost a lot of stuff. So I decided, what should I do with my passion? So I decided, okay, I'm going to study as a producer. So I did producing. I went in to do producing and then I started producing. This was actually 5-6 years ago.
Right.
Well, I've been doing 5-6 years ago more serious production. Yeah.
How did we get to the production of the Christmas movie, the making of the Christmas movie?
Oh yes, my Christmas gift! I'm so excited. My voice now has changed. Yeah, the Christmas gift.
Go on, hold it up. Let them see.
Yeah,
Hold it up. The Christmas gift.
I should have. The Christmas gift.
Right. Rhoda is now going to tell us about her movie, The Christmas Gift.
Yeah, The Christmas Gift is actually my second movie.
Okay.
The first one I did was Miracles of the Christmas Angels, and I did that
You have
last
a
year.
thing about Christmas, huh?
I do actually, and I've even got another Christmas movie coming next year. But The Christmas Gift is a story about a foster mother that takes in kids over Christmas. She's got a child, Alice, and Alice is an only child, and she wanted siblings for Christmas because she finds it very lonely. So the foster mother registered herself as a carer for Christmas, but she never anticipated the amount of children that needed help over Christmas. So she then took in kids over Christmas. So the story is more or less, a foster mother taking children over the Christmas period, and and that is being premiered next Saturday.
That's quite a beautiful tale.
Yeah.
You wrote it. Who wrote it?
I wrote it.
Wow.
I wrote the story, and then I got somebody to create the dialogue for it, because I'm not good at script writing. So that's
everything
another.
is a skill in its own right, isn't it?
It is a skill to write.
Because you can write the book, it doesn't mean that you can write a script. So.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So somebody created Evelyn, actually, not somebody else on the road. Evelyn created a dialogue for it, and I did the casting, and actually directed it. I produced it. I did the costume design. I wrote the storyline.
That's a lot of work.
I did a lot of stuff.
How long did the project take from start to fruition?
We started last year, after the Miracles of the Christmas Angels finished in December last year, because we did January release for that. We started in December it started, but January is when we start putting the pieces together, and then we filmed this year and then edited it and so on. So
That's quite a lot in a short space of time.
But it is a lot in a short space of time. What we're trying to do, don't forget it's a Christmas movie. The time that you have to,
Lifespan.
It's a lifespan, correct, but also it's limited because we have to show it this Christmas.
Yeah.
If you have other movies, you can show it anytime throughout the year. So the time we have is quite limited. And we're also, because I've perfected the skills, you see, when I did Miracles of the Christmas Angel, that took me almost 18 months, 16 to 18 months to produce. This one took me probably just under 11 months.
Right.
To produce, because I have mastered the skills. I know what I want, and I know because I also do some editing as well. I know what shots to take, the camera angle, what we need to do. So it's more or less, So this is why it probably took the time it took.
And how was the budget for that? Because that usually is the problem when it's independent.
It is true. The budget is not as great like you have the Hollywood budget and so on and so forth. The budget is a very conservative budget, because don't forget as well, when we produce, we are new. I mean, I produce for Nollywood in the UK here. I'm based here in London. And Nollywood is the second largest industry in the world after Bollywood in terms of production, not so much in terms of money making. And money making now, they're very good. Commercially, they're very good. So you've got to manage your budget in a way that when it comes to selling the movie, you can then recuperate your costs. Right. So the production budget, the reason I say it's conservative is because when I come to selling it, I can recuperate the investment I've made. Because as an independent producer, you won't believe what we've gone around, we've begged, I've cried, I've prayed, I've fasted, I have done everything. I told myself on the floor, I've cried, God, why me? But at the end of the day, you've got to look at things in a very practical way and say, okay.
Well, you see, that's where your business knowledge has come in, your finance knowledge, you see. Useful.
Oh, Barrie, you're my best friend forever.
Very useful.
Yeah, so that is why it's quite what it is.
Because recently there was a great British film that just premiered called So Long.
Yeah.
And independent. But it's always the way. Now Netflix have invested and grabbed it. But it's always the way. In the beginning, those independents don't get the support they need. It's only when it's a finished product, all the big names want to grab and get a piece of it. And they were saying that they needed money. They needed money for the budget, and it would have been a different film, I guess, if they'd had a bigger budget. But they had to literally cut things short, to stay within the budget. Now Netflix want it, but they went to them for finance and backing. They weren't interested. It's always the problem with the independents.
It's always the problem with the independent. What I always say, like when Joanna was telling me, I'm sure she's going to tell you about our documentary as well. I just think you've just got to persevere.
Yeah.
You've got to have tenacity, you've got to persevere, and you've got to stay focused. And you've got to be practical as well. Like I always say to people, production has a life of its own. You started thinking, okay, I want it to go this way. You end up going a totally different direction. And sometimes you just got to follow that direction it takes you, so therefore you achieve what you want to achieve. But I always say to people, when you do production, always try and finish it, no matter what. Because if you don't finish, if you start and stop, the chances of you finishing it is very, very hard.
You'll never really go back to it. You'll always start something else, and then.
It's very.
I think that's in the case with lots of things, with music, film, because you hear a lot of artists saying, "Well, yeah, I wrote that song 20 years ago, but I never finished it, and I've just now decided to finish it and release it, and it's a big hit." So I think things will come when they're supposed to.
I guess so. Yeah.
So your production, my love.
Yes.
Tell me.
Well.
Because yours is a major journey.
Yes, huge journey. It's called Go Back and Get It.
Right.
And that's sort of from the Sankofa and the Adinka symbol, where the bird is looking to the back, plucking an egg off its back. But it stands for sort of looking to your past so that you can move on to sort of like a positive future. So Marcus Garvey, I think, once said, a people without knowledge of their origins is like a tree with no roots.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, after I experienced all this loss in my life, it was like, who am I? Who am I really? So my sister Dawn, who also is like one of my role models, she's an MBE, she wrote a book called A Mission of Love. And in that book, she sort of like starts to explore our history. And from there, I kind of like picked up about my great-grandmother. And so basically, this Go Back and Get It is about knowing who you are and where you come from and the significance of that.
Yeah.
And the fact that when you know who you are, you can then move forward to something different or something positive in your life. So I went to Lagos, Nigeria.
Look at the beaming smile when she said that.
And
you had a fantastic time.
I had an amazing time. I literally shot the film, this documentary, in 5 days. It was like it was a blessed mission. It was like it had to happen because everything just seemed to fall into place. I met with some amazing creatives like Femi Lasode, the filmmaker of Shango. I met with Lemmy Gariaku, who is Fela Kuti's pop artist. I also met with Shola Dioladipo, who Dioladipo is her father, the Abasaka fame.
Yeah.
I could just pronounce my word.
I like you looking to write.
You're doing well, darling, okay?
Excuse the accent. But so and I met with some, he was a dramatist, Yoruba dramatist, and so I went to kind of like discover more about my great grandmother. So I found out a few things. I was quite ignorant to the fact that everybody that went to the colonies, Trinidad, where I'm from, were slaves. But my great-grandmother wasn't a slave. She was a free person. Her and her husband decided that was their calling. They were going to Trinidad, and that's what they did. They got on the ship and they went to Trinidad.
Ooh.
And she was a medicine woman, and she was a midwife. And she would perform this nation dance. Apparently she would go into trance and this kind of stuff, and she would somehow be able to heal and help her family. So I wanted to find out a little bit more about that. So when I went to Lagos, and I went to Oshopo, and I went to Ocean State, and I went to the Ocean Sacred Grove, and just to find out sort of like what was it all about? Why would she do that? And I later found out that she was an ocean goddess. And there's many ocean goddesses. There's many devotees like Susan Wenger, who's an Austrian. European, Austrian, who developed the Ocean Grove and did these amazing sculptures all across the grove. And you go there and it tells the whole story, about Yoruba tradition and culture that I recognise from my family here, because my mother was also Shango. So knowing all of this, it was kind of like, but my mother, when she, at feast, when she would celebrate the feast of Saint Michael, Gabriel and Raphael, but this is all intertwined.
Yeah.
The whole sort of tradition, historical.
And it's really is, as you said, the tradition started back there, but as time moves forward, it alters, and there's different generations coming and interpret it differently. But you can still see the origins are from over there, but it alters as time goes on.
And every island has a different, Brazil, they're more Yamea, Yemanja. You go to different, different parts of the colonies where we were taken. But then I also believe that it's important for us not to forget about those who passed away that didn't make it across the transatlantic slave trade, that didn't make it, that ended up at the bottom of the Atlantic. So somehow, even remotely, I think it's important that we don't forget our ancestors and remember them,
So you shot the whole thing in 5 days?
Shot it in 5 days, solo project, shot, wrote, edited.
Can you see the story intertwining yet again?
My goodness, this is amazing. Really?
Yeah, produced.
Wow.
Crowdfunded. Got grant, all kind of thing to go across there. So I went with a Sony X70 camcorder, one Nikon 3300, a tripod and a boom mic. Backpack. And then I went, and it was just, I was really fortunate. I was really, really fortunate. But I also believe that this movie needs to be extended. There were things that in those 5 days that I didn't quite hit on, which would have given it more of a body. So for me, I'm looking, the future. I'd love to be able to.
So how will you do that? Will you hold the part that you've got now, that you filmed now, go back, film some more and put it together as one, or do a part 1 and part 2?
I would love to be able to have a crew and go out there and spend more time.
Right.
5 days was great. Don't get me wrong.
Not nearly enough.
But I think it's a really good promotional piece to promote and for people to understand what I want to do. So if I could get some sponsorship, that would be amazing to be able to, re-look at the story, because I think with documentaries, I don't want it to come across sort of like it's, it's all about me, I want it to have more of a, I want it to inspire, I think it does that as it is, but I want it to inspire, educate, and also to let people know that you can do this too. You can find your roots and
you
go out there.
Here. You are inspiring. That's why you're here.
Well, that's what I'd like to do. I think it's more than just. It's
and make it relatable.
It's
making it relatable to lots of people. The
Yeah.
more people you can touch with something, the bigger the message, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's, as you say, it's not just about you or just about 2 people. The more people that can look at it and see it and think, well, yeah, that could be me, or they look like me, and maybe I'm from there. Maybe, it's.
But it's funny, as you start, when you grow and you do something and you just see there's a vision there. And for me, it's more about connecting to the motherland, us in the diaspora, we've been so disconnected from the motherland for so long. I remember growing up and it was all like, Africa. It was like a shameful part of our past. But actually, no, this is just, it's
rich.
It's where we're from.
Yeah.
It's who we are. It's our grounding. That's what keeps our feet on the ground. That's what makes us who we are. That's why we can sing. That's why we can dance. That's why we can dress. Yeah. That's why we can do all of these things. We need to understand where we come from, and we need to understand it, and we need to accept it now. We need to connect somehow. I don't know how, but somehow, maybe through my film, maybe through other things. You know, the future is bright. I see it. You know, and I think, and Africa's also, well, Nigeria, should I say, is also open to accepting us.
Yeah.
You know, because I do remember back in the days, you know, you'd sit on the train and there'd be two, you know, Nigerian sisters and they're talking in their language but they're looking you up and down and kind of I do remember that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but nowadays, you know, I think we're all...
Well, I think people are
really
being a bit more
understand.
conscious of that is the fact that, you know, we are connected. And I say it all the time. People all think that their journey is separate and individual and just common to them, but we're all connected, and it's not 6 degrees of separation anymore. It's probably about 2 or 3, if that. You know.
Yeah, as Joanne said, you know, we're all trying to, you know, connect and find that identity because we've lost it somehow in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I know growing up here, there's an issue. There was an element of me that felt I've kind of lost that part of me. And this is one of the reasons I went into Nollywood. I went into media because to promote the black community, but also to tell our own stories. You know, one of the beauty, like you remember, we're talking about this earlier in the green room, that Afrobeat is one of the things that is also, you know, the African music that is changing the continent. Now you've got Nollywood as well. People like telling their own stories. When I was in Cannes is a film festival that takes place every year. I go to Cannes every year because it's a place, if you're a filmmaker, that is where you need to be.
Yeah.
You need to be seen with the people that are actually in the industry making movies. And I went to one of the a meeting. One of the things they told me was like the production that's coming out of Hollywood is not as many as they used to be because people are not identifying that they need something else. They want to be able to see colors, people,
ethnicity,
diversity. Exactly. So this is also, there is a shift at the moment, and this is our time. This is a time to be there to tell our story and also educate people. I love your story. I'm just like engrossed. I'm like, oh my God, Joanna, you've got
but
to
you know,
find...
that is exactly what it's about, because as what this show is about, you're not represented fairly or positively.
Correct.
In the mainstream. So rather than complain about it, you create a platform.
Exactly.
And do it yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that is you know, you've hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, that's what we have to do as Africans. I don't call ourselves black because that's propaganda. You know?
Okay.
No other race calls themselves by colour.
Yeah.
So for us as Africans, we have to start doing stuff for ourselves. It's about building our own economies. It's about building our own production companies. It's about building our own media companies. It's about doing all of this stuff for ourselves. That is what we have to do.
Well, absolutely, because really and truly the only way things move forward is if we invest in each other, support each other, encourage each other, inspire each other. Correct. And that's the only way you can change it, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Nobody's coming to save you. Save yourself.
As you say, in the industry, you know, you're not represented fairly. So, for want of a better example, Idris Elba can't be James Bond because he's black. Or because he's white, I should say.
I've got a funny feeling.
But Christian Bale can be an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Can somebody work that out?
No.
You know, Idris Elba can't be James Bond because he's black.
But do we think now that we have a representative in Buckingham Palace that just might happen?
I can't even.
Because now I'm watching. I'm a child of the 70s.
Okay.
You know, I was born in '68, and
I'm a child of the 90s.
Whatever. Anywho, but you know, I'm watching TV, and if I watch TV, the more I watch TV, the more I'm just saying. But wait, hold on, they've got Gogglebox. They've got like another 3 black families. I'm watching adverts, and there's like all these mixed race, you know, mixed.
What I do notice with the commercials, that every other tune is a soul tune, it's an Earth, Wind and Fire tune, it's a Shaka Khan tune. Back in the day, you did not hear our music mainstream like that on TV, on national TV.
In adverts, you never saw black people in adverts. I remember seeing the first black advert that I saw was Purcell. And it was a little boy, and Mum said to him, positive mental attitude or something, PMA. And I was like, oh my God. Again, you know, it's just like, you know, I just think
things are changing.
Things are
changing, but it's a bit slow.
Too slowly, because for 2018 there should be a much bigger representation and a much more positive representation.
We've been here 70 odd years.
Yeah.
But I think also if you have one of the things I've also discovered, if you have economics in terms of money, you can change anything.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I find within our community is that we need to grow, not just grow and do well on, but we need to have the power, the money itself to be able to effect change. Because if we are growing and supporting each other, we want to make everybody rich, you know, make people rich.
Yeah.
Not just go ask for discount, complimentary, this. Exactly. So I think it's not just, it's true we are slow in progress in terms of getting more black people out there, but it's also the fact that we also need to look at economics as well. We need to look at creating wealth.
Absolutely.
You know, that it's
So when is your project going to come into fruition and we're all going to see this fabulous documentary?
So at the moment, I'm sort of like in between. So I would like to be able to release it sort of like next year. But as I said, I'm sort of like in negotiations at the moment and trying to decide whether to reshoot and whether to sort of like release what I've already got. So I was going to go through sort of a lot of the film festivals.
Right.
So, you know, look out next year, maybe next year.
That's great.
Yeah,
Well, we know yours is coming up this Christmas. Is it
can't
next
wait
week?
to see it. We're all going.
Oh, excellent. That's it. Yeah, it's coming up on the 24th of November, which is next week,
Right.
Saturday at the Odeon, Surrey Quays in London. This is it again, the Christmas gift. It's a Rhoda Wilson production, you know, my production. So.
Now, can you give us a website or some kind of form of contact that we can get, put out there so that people can contact there to get tickets? What's this story?
I've got a website, which is www.rhodawilson.com.
Let's hear it again.
Fast, www.rhodawilson.com.
Okay.
Or you can email me at publicrelations@rhodawilson.com, or you can email me personally, Rhoda at rhodawilson.com. But either way, I mean, my staff would always, you know, pass me the email, but you can always contact us.
She's in the big leagues, staff.
Oh, my team.
I like that.
People say, so I don't say staff, we're a team. Oh, my team. My team, Rhoda, my team. Yeah,
And
so
you're
that's-
looking for funding, are you, for your bits
Yeah,
and
I'm
pieces?
looking for funding for my project. So anybody interested in working with me would be really brilliant, because I'm just I'm so fresh. I'm a bit of a freshie, so I'm.
And how do we get in
excited
contact
about
with you?
You can contact me on.
She's having to think about
I don't actually have a website, but that is how.
But we can email you for
But you
information.
can email me for information, which I can give to you afterwards. And
Okay.
also, did you want my email
Yeah,
address?
put it up there, let's hear it.
It's joannaalexander68@gmail.com. So you can message me there, or you can check out my portfolio, which is Amara Photography /myportfolio.com.
Right. See? Useful.
Yeah.
Right. So you two busy girls,
Yes.
what do you do to look after yourselves? To deal with your crazy schedules and your going to Cannes and going to Lagos and your routines. What do you do to look after yourselves? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you just stay in your bed and lounge with a box of chocolate biscuits, as I do? I didn't say that really. No.
You're me first. I do have a bit of a regime.
Okay.
My regime is I meditate every morning, and I do yoga. I also work out quite a lot. I try and work out every day if I can. But it's again, it's it's about how busy you are at the time.
That's what I mean.
At the moment, I've got the time that I can actually do that. But so yeah, it helps to center me, helps to get me into a better place. And I'm just about to move on to an alkaline diet. How about that?
Oh.
You're on your own with that one.
I've heard about the alkaline diet, especially for our constitution.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. And you, Rhoda, what do you do?
I do Tai Chi. I do
Okay,
Tai
that's
Chi.
it.
Yeah, I do Tai Chi. I only just had to take that up recently because it's been very stressful. And for my blessings, I used to teach salsa. So I kind of do salsa once a month now with my girlfriend, because we used to do it every time, salsa convention. but because workload took over my schedule, so I now do it once a month rather.
Okay.
So I just go on once a month to dance. But Tai Chi I do.
How often do you do the Tai Chi?
Twice a week. I do twice a week, and tonight, Thursday, is my night, so I'm doing that tonight.
And you're here with me. How lucky am I? She's
know.
put off her Tai Chi to come and talk to me. That's so special, right?
You're special. You're special.
Special.
Well, girls, thank you for coming.
No, thank
It's been
you.
great talking to you and hearing your stories.
Thank you.
And I know they'll be inspirational to other people. That's the reason you're here. So just keep up the good work.
Thank
keep
you.
fighting. Don't give up. Don't give up on that documentary.
Never.
Just keep going.
Never.
Just keep going. And as you said,
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
The 24th at the Odeon Surrey Keys is the Christmas gift, my movie. Please do come and support us. Really, really. I mean, this is Nollywood and like you've never seen it before. So please do come and bring your children. If I may say, it's free for every kids, free for every child.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
do
great.
bring them. So it's just the adults that needs to pay.
Great.
So yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, girls. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. If anything resonates with you, please leave us a message on the website. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.